Hi Leo, here is a general look at your solar chart for June 2014, and this time of the year the sun is in a really good angle to your sun sign. It's allowing you to feel more connected in with a group of others in some way. This might be a new group, or it might be a group that you're on the fringes of, or you're right slap bang in the middle of, or it could just be a very proactive phase when you are being able to do things which are taking you nearer and nearer and nearer to maybe some hope for the future that you've had on the back burner for a very long time. Also, this is a great energy where the sun position is for networking, for being innovative over the internet, or just being, involved in innovations and creative activities. And Venus is in a very good position to help you. She's right up at the top of your chart until the 24th. And that tends to mean that there will be more favorable circumstances if you have to make a good impression on somebody, whether this is somebody who is socially above you or has a higher status or not. Then you're more likely to be able to do that, because this is the area of image and sort of presentation skills. So Venus there is very much oiling the wheel, smoothing the way, but also it could be that somebody teams up with you and they're in the position of to be able to help you, to be able to facilitate you in some way. And you are likely to feel very much appreciate that, but also that they appreciate you. And another way this can work, if you turn that around, you could be viewed as the person who is in that position of power, authority, or has the expertise, the know-how, whatever, to be able to help, or just the position to be able to help somebody else to achieve their success. So it can happen both ways round. And then from the 24th, Venus moves into the same area as the sun, and that really does bring a supportive feeling into the area of groups, friends, but that can be new friends, or that sort of old friend, an old stamping ground, or an old friendship or two. Or indeed, it can be that you are generally supported in sort of your general contacts and your associations, and it's great for anything over the wires as well. And networking, pooling forces and resources can be interesting. You can gather interesting little tidbits maybe, but generally seem to be materially beneficial and mutually beneficial and generally positive. Until the 17th, Mercury is working from deeper levels, and your mind tends to become introspective and more open to emotional or subtle energies. Now, Mercury is actually turning retrograde on the 7th, so there could be some things that you're weighing up inwardly, secretly, keeping your cards close to your chest, just mulling things over. And in fact, just zoning out every now and again. That's probably a good thing to do, and just letting go of it, from the front of your mind, your sort of frontal lobes, as it were, and just allowing it to sort of float around somewhere there in the background, because as a matter of fact, it could be a more direct route to the resolution or the intuition, the answer that you need. This is also a good time for healing, spiritual or imaginative activities too. The thing is, with the retrograde, it just tends to, in that area there, it will tend to get you perhaps, just dropping the logic, really, dropping the rational kind of expectation or the rational way of thinking, and just trusting that the answer will come to you, being more aware of reading the environment, reading the body language, maybe reading the omens and that kind of thing. It's more likely, and just holding the vision of how you want something to be, and also perhaps encountering every now and again the restrictions you put on yourself by your own reactions and your own behavior, your own hopes, or rather your own fears, really. But that's sort of just like a cross-section of sorts of things that might happen there. I should have mentioned as well that on the 12th, that's not a brilliant day for anything financial or anything to do with friends or acquaintances or contacts. So try not to schedule anything for there. But actually the 16th and the 17th is you could cross paths with somebody very useful, or that could just be a nice harmonious energy, but also an expansive energy which could have you very interested and in something which makes you feel quite enthusiastic. Then Mercury is transiting all the way back into Gemini, so from the 17th, that's a period for you in which to generally sort of chew the fat in the company of others, also discuss things, consider things, listening to their take on it, and articulating your own ideas, and also asking the questions that you need the answers to, but also being in a bit of an experimental mood, and really maybe, again, this feeling because of the retrograde of not absolute certainty there, not coming down totally on one side or the other, or it may be that you do make a decision if you have to on something, but you've given yourself enough latitude, enough wriggle room to be experimental, to understand that within that decision you can experiment. You know, you're not really pinned down to something. And now the sun then moves into a different area, and it goes into a more background area from the 21st, and that's when maybe you will be more inclined to tuck yourself away a little bit, but also more inclined to be busily beavering away at things in the background and pulling strings maybe from the background more, and being more of service, being more in that kind of mode there of providing service for somebody else, and they're leaning on you a little bit more. And then pretty soon after that, Mercury and Venus in the next month, that'll be July, come into your sign. And of course this is the last full month of Jupiter in the sign before yours. This position of Jupiter since last July has allowed you to forgive the past, to maybe review the past as well, and feel a bit, you know, those waves of nostalgia at times and sentimentality, but the whole dynamic of it has been to tie up loose ends from the past, and also, you know, from that, it will clear the decks, you see, for the new phase, which will be coming in from the end of July, which is going to be your 12 months of really expanding and spreading your wings, and getting in, you know, getting into all sorts of new areas and going in all sorts of new directions. So this is your last little bit of time now, especially for you later Leos, those of you born at the end of the second decanate and the beginning of the third decanate of Leo, or with 14 to 21 degrees rising, to feel the energy the most strongly, and for you to be just tying things up as best you can, winding things up, and also looking into yourself and being as honest as you can with yourself about your part in whatever, and also how you managed to get hooked into this, that, or the other thing. And indeed, you might get hooked into it again, but this is just like a last look at it, really. That's what that's about. And also you understanding better how you do tend to shoot yourself in the foot sometimes, and you are given the opportunity to change those old habits or emotional patterns or beliefs, in fact. and that then means that you're in good shape to come into this next phase when you've got the planet of expansion and adventure and exploration coming into your sign for around about 12 months. Also Saturn, a mention of Saturn, of course, which is like, you know, the chalk to the cheese of Jupiter. And Saturn is in the area also about tying up loose ends from the past, a huge amount of doing that. And, you know, it's a tough call sometimes, but this is about dust swept under the rug, to do with the past. It's also to do with parents as well, or parental duty. It can be like that, and it can mean, you know, with the long-running transit of Pluto as well, that this can issues, maybe historical issues, can come out in the body in some way or another, and you should be looking at getting whatever remedies or therapies or just knowledge, really, under your belt to do with your emotional, physical, spiritual foundations. But this is also to do with external foundations, and you may feel that those are lacking in some way. The neighborhood, the point on the map, the place where you live, and where you've got your bed, where you go to sleep every night, and anything that you've just been tolerating regarding that, you may have to bite the bullet and make a decision about that this year, whether it's to do with family members, domestic setup, whatever. Because this transit ends at the very end of the year, and except for you very, very late Leos, there's a little bit of a visit around about 3-4 months of that for you late Leos are in 2015, but for most of the sign of Leo, it's coming, or rather I should say, the whole sign is going to feel the energy, but those of you at the very tail end of Leo will feel it the most in a little part of next year. So more on that one later. But you Leos born near the beginning of the last decanate, or indeed at the end of the second decanate and the beginning of the last decanate, or with 17 to 21 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most over June. And then Mars, well, Mars is very much accelerating mental processes, putting a demand on you to articulate, to communicate, to express yourself, to provide the answers, to ask the questions, to source the information. It's to do with educational pursuits, so that might be you learning or you being the teacher, the advisor. It's about writing. It's about all mediums of self-expression. So yes, and comings and goings could increase. You could find yourself with just more pressure on you to come up with the goods in this in area of information. It would be a good time to float a new concept or a new body of work, you know, and you'll be very much in demand, I think, there. Or you could just put the demand on yourself. It could also be a good time for things like talk therapies, and learning a new way to express yourself, to be developing that, and also to be developing an understanding of the way others communicate, or the way nature communicates. So dialoguing with nature, maybe not through the verbal way, or reading body language, reading clues, reading the omens, reading the signs, you know, in the skies, as it were. I mean, just learning the different ways of communication. That could also be a way that this can manifest, and defining your objectives more clearly, getting very, very certain and decisive about and assertive about what you want to say, what you need to do, the papers you need to, or the forms you need to fill in, or the paperwork you need to do. And you Leos born in the the end of the first and the beginning of the second decade, or with 8 to 12 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most this month. Just to mention that we've got Mars in quite a hard aspect to Uranus and Pluto. So Mars is rolling forwards now and is much more vocal and shall we say prone to be outspoken, and you could lose your cool. You could let things build up maybe and just say too much, or the other way this can work is the passive aggressive route, where you withhold and say too little and you sort of go and sulk in the corner. So try to keep your thoughts and work schedule in proportion, you know, keep lines of communication open, but try to soften those words as they come out and think maybe brighter, lighter thoughts. And depending on the situation and the underlying natal chart energies, life could actually suddenly take off in a new direction. So watch that space. And that's it for June. If you know your rising sign or your moon sign, listen to the forecast for those. And also you can see all this written up on my website. It's something you want to check. And I'll see you the next time.